Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Crime and Coffee. My name's Allison.
And I'm Mike.
Well, welcome, Mike. It's good to have you here.
It's been very welcoming of you to say welcome. So thank you very much.
Welcome to my home.
I feel welcome in your home, which is a good thing since I live here too.
Oh, shit. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
When did you get here?
I don't know. What 20 years ago?
Yeah, about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So what's been going on with you there, fella?
Just excited, get the new year like we talked about, and I just love the new fresh start. It's just an opportunity to kind of look at everything that's been going on over the past year or two or whatever. And if you've had some goals in your life, you kind of look back like, I thought I would have been doing this by now. You can look at that and say, okay, well, time to just start doing it. Like I have an entrepreneurial mind, even though I've never really done anything entrepreneurial. So, I always think about those kind of things like, well, now I'm 42, going to be 43 in a couple months here. If I'm ever doing something, it's probably time to start doing it before I, just get too old and then I'm like 60.
Time to retire.
Yeah, exactly. So that kind of stuff. I love the fresh start and the just general review of life.
We've been doing some stuff around the house.
Oh, yeah, I guess we
things
have.
Cleaned up. We always keep a pretty tidy house, but you know how it is. Over the months, things just pile up or projects go.
Nice of you to include me in that, even though I really don't do much of cleaning anything up. But I try to keep it tidy for your brain.
Yes, thank you. So Mike's office is at the front of our house, and it's the room of the house that I've had very little input on because it's his office. It's not mine. And it's just kind of gets pushed to the wayside, and I just walk in the room and I'm like, ugh. I get this general ugh.
There's nothing wrong with it. You're making it to be like a swivel.
No, it's not, but it's not to
you.
my standards.
Well, yeah, nothing's to your standard.
Well,
even the whole house is not to your standards.
We're a lot of papers there, kind of.
Let me set the scene for anybody here. So let's say you want to enjoy yourself outside. Maybe it's a nice day outside. Let's have a cup of coffee or maybe some lunch
Here
together.
Here he goes, web of lies.
Yeah, and most couples would go outside, have a nice little talk. Allison looks around constantly like, okay, what is wrong here? What can we do differently?
No, Mike, it's not true.
Oh, we need to power wash this.
I was sitting on the patio and the arm of my lounge chair was all chipped up. And
have you ever thought about getting new patio furniture?
Well, it's been about 15 years, so I think the time is now.
The chairs we sit in work perfectly.
Yeah, they hold us, but they look like shit.
I'm a big guy, 250 pounds, and if a chair can hold me for 10 years, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's pretty damn good. They've done the job for us, and now it's time for them to move on and out with the bad and in with the new.
The scraping on there is from like a hurricane that came through once, or
yes, it is
tropical storm, which was nice. It's kind of a nice remembrance.
No,
it's saying remember the past and look forward to the future.
Let's keep moving forward.
Yeah.
So anyway, yesterday we got new drapes for Mike's office, completely cleaned it. Got rid of just stuff that we didn't need, and it looks like a completely different room. It looks beautiful, and what a good feeling. And lo and behold, that's where we record this podcast.
Yeah, and we have some plans to put this podcast up on this YouTube thing that the kids are telling us about.
These kids, I don't know, something about a TikTok? TikTok?
TikTok, don't miss.
We're 42. We don't know.
Well, I know TikTok.
We're kidding.
YouTube. Yeah.
I'm not on TikTok. I have seen our daughter will send something from TikTok or whatever. I'll click on it. But it's one of those things I like to limit my social media time. Sure. I don't want to introduce another platform. So I have not delved into that world.
Yeah, but we realize if we want to make some money on this thing at some point,
yes.
We appreciate all of our listeners. You guys are the base of everything, so thank you so much.
Well, we wouldn't be in here speaking if you weren't listening, so thank you.
And it's going pretty well, I must say. So, thanks for telling your friends and all that stuff. So we're going to keep on expanding, go to video, see what that does, and then, maybe make some TikToks here and there, and who knows what'll happen. And also, we're thinking about, we are going to add another word to our name.
Yes, Mike was informing me that when you look up Crime and Coffee podcast, it's not easy to find us.
Correct.
So we are going to slightly change our name to the Crime and Coffee Couple.
Yes. Oh, you wanted me to say it at the same time as you?
No, it's okay.
Oh, okay. You were like, looking at me and like, okay.
Crime and Coffee Couple podcast.
Yeah, and it's going to be good. It's something that if you Google it, we already come up under that as far as I'm concerned. I don't know if that's everybody's thing because Google's different depending on what you look for. But
it popped up on mine. So we just want to make ourselves more easily found, put ourselves out on more platforms so that we're just more readily available to people.
Yeah. It's all about getting you these stories that everybody likes listening to. So thanks for listening.
Yeah, so we're enjoying it, and thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. This week, I'm up.
Oh, real quick. We are on social media, Crime and Coffee too, whether it's Instagram or Twitter. And I just found out that Spotify now allows people to review. So if you listen to us on Spotify, send a 5-star review if you could. And then also always Apple Podcasts. Leave some words on the review too, because that helps us out. Just saying, hey, Mike and Allison are pretty cool, or Allison and Mike, as it were. Because you're the
alphabetical.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I know it's a pain in the butt to take a few moments to do that. I'm always rushed, so leaving a review sometimes is just not what you want to do. But we do appreciate it, and thank you so much for your kind words. Or if you were to give us a 5-star review, we would appreciate it.
Yeah, just scroll all the way to the bottom when you go to our podcast, and it's right there.
And thank you for being here. So I guess I'll just dive right in. Today is my day. And I am talking about the Robison Family Murders.
Robison, not Robinson.
Not Robinson.
Okay.
Robison.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Never heard of it.
Yeah, never heard that name before. And this is also referred to as the Good Hart Murders because of where it took place.
Good Hart.
Hart. It's a location in Michigan.
Okay, I was going to try to figure it out. But
yeah,
I'm glad you just told me.
It's not, I have a good heart for you, Mike. Not that type of heart.
Yeah.
So this story takes place in Michigan in 1968. So it all kind of started on July 22nd, 1968. Mrs. Moore was hosting a bridge party at her cabin in Michigan.
A lot of bridge players back in the day.
Yeah, I don't know.
We don't play enough bridge.
Do people still play bridge?
Yeah, there's some bridge players, but not nearly as enough. Like that used to be the social thing. Maybe because they only had shit TV. Like there wasn't like really good TV all over the place, and it's so much easier just to pop on the tube.
Well, it's social, so I think that's kind of nice that people gather to play.
Well, you don't really like people, so.
Well, sometimes
your shirt even says it.
My shirt does say it. What does it say?
I like murder shows, comfy clothes, and maybe 3 people.
I like people, but a lot of people annoy the fuck out of me.
Well, yeah, but you love your friends and such.
I like people. There's a lot of good people in the world.
Yeah, and you're a clinical dietitian, and your patients love you.
They do. And
at least what you tell me. I don't know.
No, I'm very, very kind and good with people, but there's a lot of people that are just so rude and that I come across on a daily basis.
So maybe these bridge people like each other.
They were probably kind people.
Yes. So they play bridge. I'm sorry.
Yes. So it's July 22nd, 1968. They're playing bridge at Mrs. Moore's cabin, and they're sensing this horrific smell in the air. And they're wondering, what the hell is that? We need to get to the bottom of this. I can't sit here anymore. It's making me sick to my stomach.
Ugh.
So Mrs. Moore decides to call Chauncey Bliss, the owner of Blisswood Cabins, which is where they are. And it's funny because he was referred to kind of 50-50, but Chauncey or Monty Bliss. I don't know how a person has 2 names.
Again, back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, a lot of people had nicknames like Bubbles. You hear that thrown around a lot.
You always say Bubbles. I've never heard anyone except a clown or a seal referred to as Bubbles.
I guarantee if everybody asked their grandparent if they're still alive, God bless if they are, they probably knew a Bubbles.
I swear you've said that multiple times.
It's weird.
And I don't know. You're weird.
When I was a kid, I remember thinking I was probably 5. And there's always some dude they're talking about named Bubbles. I'm like, who the hell? In my head, I was like, who the hell's named Bubbles?
Were you watching the Bozo the Clown Show?
No.
Is that what you were watching when they were talking about Bubbles?
In Chicago, Illinois with my grandparents, and they were talking about Bubbles. Some guy with glasses.
Bozo the Clown was filmed in Chicago. We've just cracked the case.
Maybe it was Bozo the Clown. But his name was Bozo.
I'm sure there was someone on his show named Bubbles.
Well, there was Cookie.
Well, there was Cookie. So Mrs. Moore calls Chauncey Bliss, or Monty Bliss. We're going to call him Chauncey.
Okay.
The owner of Blisswood Cabins, and this is located in Harbor Springs, Michigan, just north of Good Hart, Michigan, and this is why it's also referred to as the Good Hart Murders. So she's telling him, Chauncey, please, something is going on. It reeks, and please investigate what the hell is happening here. So Chauncey basically tracks down the stench to a neighboring cabin about a little bit more than a half mile away from where Mrs. Moore is located at this time. He's walking up to the place assuming that maybe a raccoon or something died in the crawl space, and that's what's causing the smell.
So it's definitely a decomposing some sort.
It's something really bad. The fact that it's overwhelming her bridge party bad.
I mean, I figured being this is a murder podcast, it would be some kind
yes.
Yeah.
Although I don't know how an animal, tracked over a half mile away would, result in such a stench, but he's trying to figure that out.
Sure, you're not thinking somebody's dead.
No, you are not. So as he's approaching the cabin, Chauncey finds that the drapes are closed and there's a bunch of flies buzzing about. He finds nothing under the crawl space. So now it's, time to move on. He's thinking at this point that maybe an animal must have fallen down the chimney inside the cabin and died. So he's knocking on the door of the cabin, trying to get access. But of course, if the family was there, you'd wonder why they didn't investigate the smell. But regardless, this is where he is. So there was no answer on the door when he was knocking. So he decides to jimmy the lock with a file, slip the latch, and pull the door open. As the door swung open, the horrific stench absolutely lambasted him in the face.
Lambasted, you say?
Lambasted. It was that powerful. As he held his nose and peered into the cabin, he was stunned by what he saw. And it wasn't good. He saw amongst the swarming flies, he could see the feet of a person under a blanket that was thrown over the body on the floor.
Oh,
and then further into the cabin, he noticed a lump in the hallway, assuming it was possibly another body. At this point in time, he decides it's time to call the police. So sometime in the 3:00 hour, right around 3:15, the police arrive from the Emmett County Sheriff's Office. And they are not at all prepared for what they found. And at this time, the sheriff in town actually was taking like a well overdue vacation. From what I heard, it had been about 8 years since he had vacationed with his family.
That's the American way.
So, yeah, which is very unhealthy.
Yeah, it's stupid.
But he's out in Yellowstone with his family vacationing at the time that this just so happens.
He's like, of all times for me to be on family vacation.
He's like, in 8 years.
This is why I can't take a vacation.
Exactly. So, as the police are arriving, they're not at all prepared. They find that the lump that he had seen in the hallway was not one body, but 3.
Oh, man. I was thinking like a head or something.
Nope. They are piled on top of each other. It was a man, a boy, and a little girl.
Ugh, little bodies. That's
yes, it's tragic. In the doorway of a back bedroom, they find a 5th body, kind of halfway in the room, halfway out of the room. And further into that same room was another boy, about teenage years old, also dead on the floor.
And all covered, or?
No, the mom was covered, and then I guess there was a blanket over the lump in the hall.
Yeah.
But then the other 2 bodies were fully exposed.
Interesting.
Yes. So they are finding 6 bodies in this cabin at this time. So the 5th body that was found halfway in and out of the door was a teenage boy crumpled on the floor, clutching playing cards in his hands. How sad is that?
Wow.
Like you're in the middle of a card game when whatever went down happened.
Yeah.
So
well, you got to think like carbon monoxide or something, but then they're covered. So there's something.
So, at first the thought crossed their mind, is this a murder suicide? But then, that was quickly dispelled. But the 6th body that they found was the other teenage boy in the room. He was laying on his stomach, arms outstretched. So there were 15 shell casings found on the scene, 11 from a .22 caliber rifle and 4 from a .25 caliber handgun. An expensive ring and some cash were missing, but most valuables were left behind. So it was likely not a robbery. Each family member had been shot by a gun. The little girl and the father had also been struck by a claw hammer. So very, very sad. The bodies were so badly decomposed that the investigators had to wear gas masks when entering the cabin. One of the investigators had said he initially went in without a gas mask. He said he was covered in flies while he was in the place, and he could only last maybe 2 minutes in there without it. Well, it was that bad.
So the smell was so bad.
Yes,
so there's nothing
because of the decomposition.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
in the gas mask, you wouldn't be able to smell it? I mean, you'd probably smell it still, but just not as bad.
I don't know. They were still in their regular clothes. It's not like they were in hazmat suits or anything, but they just had gas masks on their face.
Sure.
So the family was dressed as if they were going on a trip, and a partially packed suitcase sat open on the bed. Because of the state of decomposition, the hospital refused to even accept them for autopsy. It was
they're dead.
that bad.
Yeah.
Well, they needed an autopsy. It was just the stench was so bad. They were like, you can't bring them in here. Yeah. So they basically made like a makeshift autopsy area at the local like fairgrounds or something like that. It was in a chicken coop that they did this.
Oh, wow.
Of the local fairgrounds. And then later on in the investigation, a second round of autopsies had been done in late November of 1968. They were exhumed from the Southfield Cemetery to check for even more evidence. So a couple of autopsies had ended up being done. So this is kind of where the story then goes back to. So on Sunday, June 16th, 1968, of course, where I initially started was July 22nd of that same year.
I'm taking good notes over here.
Very good, Mike. You're a very good pupil. I give you an A++. So on Sunday, June 16th, 1968, the Robison family, I keep wanting to say Robinson, so pardon me, the Robison.
You did good.
Thank you. The Robison family was looking forward to a summer getaway at their vacation cottage or cabin. It was referred to as both. It looked like a cabin to me, but whatever you want to call it, I'm going to call it a cabin.
I view them as the same.
Yeah. So this is on Lake Michigan, just north of Good Hart, Michigan. Just absolutely gorgeous. Mike, you would absolutely love this.
Yeah, it sounds really peaceful. I'd love to get away to something like that.
Super, super peaceful. It's remote. It's a quiet little village. Tons of trees. I mean, their backyard was basically Lake Michigan.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. And actually, the resort is still there.
Wow.
Yeah, it's called Blisswood. So the family lived near Detroit in Lathrop. Am I saying that right? Lathrop, something like that.
Okay. So I brought this up on maps. Sorry to interrupt. But this is in the LP, as they refer to it, the Lower Peninsula of Michigan. So not the Upper Peninsula.
So
the one that you would think of when you think of Michigan.
Okay.
So it's like the very northern point of Michigan.
It's like
basically.
the tip.
Yeah. Yeah. Right near Mackinac Island.
Oh, Mackinac, that's pretty.
Yeah. Mackinac Island's where they have no like cars or anything.
Mm-mm.
So it looks
I
like
would love to go there.
People from Illinois, like we're from Chicago, as some of our listeners know, and people from Illinois used to always vacation in Michigan or Wisconsin just to kind of get away from the hustle and bustle.
Mm-hmm.
So this is even north of Traverse City, where I went to once for skiing. So like way, way north of Michigan.
Yeah, really pretty. And I never did get the opportunity to vacation up by the Lake Michigan because we would always come down to Florida to the beaches.
Oh, okay.
But it's absolutely idyllic. It's a perfect place for a family to get away and spend time together from the hustle and bustle of daily life.
Yeah, beautiful.
So they would look forward to this. At this point in time, they had owned their cabin for about 10 years. And they would often go. So they would head up from Detroit, where they lived near, and I'm sorry, I pronounced that wrong. It's not Lathrop, it's Lathrop. I hate pronouncing cities wrong because I know if somebody happened to be listening from there, they're like, idiot.
Well, you corrected yourself. So
I
good
corrected
job.
myself. So, anyway, this is the Blisswood Cabins. It's a private resort of log and stone summer cabins developed by the Bliss family. And like I said, it still exists to this day. So the Robison family arrived on June 16th that year. They called their cabin Somerset, so they named it. And it stood at the end of a private drive. It was very secluded by dense forest. It was basically impossible to see the cabin from the road.
I picture like the great outdoors. Yeah. Like a John Candy movie, Dan Aykroyd. Yeah.
And like I said, their backyard was Lake Michigan. So
Beautiful.
it was just very quiet and secluded. Trees in the front, lake in the back.
Nice place to get away and relax, not necessarily get murdered.
No. So Richard or Dick, I often saw him referred to as Dick, so I'm going to call him Dick.
I love it. We need more Dicks.
We do. So Dick Robison was the father, and he was 42 years old at the time. He operated an advertising agency called R.C. Robison and Associates. He also published a bi-monthly arts magazine for the Detroit area called Impresario. And this was functioned out of his one-story office building.
Cool.
So his wife was 40-year-old Shirley, and she was a homemaker. The couple was married for almost 20 years. I had read that they were about a month shy of their 20th anniversary at the time of their murders. And they had 4 children, 19-year-old Richie, who attended Eastern Michigan University. He was described as bright and had good manners. They were all said to have had very good manners. And then there was 17-year-old Gary. He attended Southfield Lathrop High School, and he played in a garage band. Then there was 12-year-old Randall. His friend would say, we did normal things together. We rode bikes and worked on stamp collections, a typical
1968
exactly
12-year-old.
Yes. And then there was the little one, 7-year-old Susan. And she was a quiet little girl with blue eyes who dreamed of having a pony. The couple enjoyed the theater, and Dick enjoyed painting and watercolor, and he also liked flying private planes. So that's a cool hobby.
I mean, I was going to say he sounds artsy. Obviously at advertising, you got to have all kind of, I'm managing print art, and then he had his magazine. So
right. Creative.
Yeah. And then also the son, Richie, went to Eastern Michigan. That's part of the MAC conference where we went to Northern Illinois University.
Oh.
So we would play Eastern Michigan every year.
Fun fact, I didn't know that.
Yep.
So this couple, they didn't drink, they didn't smoke or gamble, they attended church regularly, and they had no known enemies. They were, really a very typical suburban family and seemed wholesome. Mm-hmm. So that summer, they were heading to the cabins for their summer-long vacation. I guess they did this every year, which sounds amazing to get away for the summer. Like, what a dream that would be. I think the longest vacation I've ever taken is maybe 2 weeks from work. So that's an awesome opportunity.
Well, back in those, I think people used to regularly vacation in the summertime. Get away for a week or and a half or two.
I would love it.
Yeah. Again, that's not the American way. So
no, we just work.
Yeah, especially end of quarters. They're like, hey, you can't take time off. It's the end of the quarter. You're a salesperson. You got to sell.
Boo.
Well, the way to take care of that is selling before the end of the quarter.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So right around this time, Dick was hinting about a big deal that he was potentially going to make.
My kind of guy.
That was going to make him a tycoon.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, big deal.
Wow.
So it supposedly involved a mysterious Mr. Roberts. Like, some of the stories were sketchy about this. Some had it, some didn't. But regardless, this person was supposedly going to fly to Pellston on his personal Learjet. Wows.
Wow.
To spend time at the family's cottage and then take them on a trip heading south on June 26th. And the Robison family definitely talked about taking this trip. They said they were going to be gone for about 3 weeks. And Dick was planning on stopping on his way to Kentucky to potentially buy a horse farm and then head to Florida, where he was planning on buying a beachfront condo.
Get a pony for little Susan.
So, yeah.
Seemed like a nice guy, like really wanted the best and
well,
stuff.
and, definitely seemed to be doing well financially, because if you're already you have a vacation cottage, cabin.
I was going to bring that up. Not necessarily. This is like a standard thing for people in this time. Yeah, I mean, they're not poor, but.
Oh, yeah, definitely not poor. But the fact that you could potentially buy a horse farm and then a beachfront condo.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
So that's a lot of properties for one person.
But for like one cottage, that's not that big of a deal. Whereas now, these days, it's like if you have a cottage, a vacation home somewhere, you're doing really, really well.
You're really well off.
Yeah.
So on Tuesday, June 25th, 1968, Dick had called his bank to check to see if a $200,000 deposit.
Whoa.
Yes, big money, had been made in the agency's account.
Can you do that conversion? Did you do it?
No, I actually didn't do that conversion. So this is 1968. While you look that up, I'll continue to talk.
Yeah.
So a bank official said that not only had that money not been deposited, but the account was surprisingly low in balance from what would be expected.
I got it. 1.6 million.
So a lot of money. So he's waiting on this deposit. That doesn't happen. And additionally, his account is surprisingly low. What the hell's going on? So the only other person that had access to this account was 30-year-old Joe Scalero, Dick's employee, who was basically manning the place while Dick was away. So several phone calls had been made between the cottage and the office. The receptionist would later testify that Dick sounded very angry during these calls.
Well, yeah, all his money's gone. He's trying to figure out who the hell took it.
Oh, you're in a major stress point when this money is not there.
He's like, let me check and see if I got
I'm going to get my horse farm.
Yeah, I'm going to get my $1 million in here.
Yeah. And then boom.
And he's like, son of a bitch, Joe Scalera, where the hell is he?
Yeah. So exchanging tons of phone calls, not happy. So the Robison family was last seen alive between 4:30 and 5 p.m. on June 25th by Russell Figg, who was doing yard work on their property. Dick paid Russell $170 by check and told him he wouldn't be there the next day as he was going on this planned trip. So Russell said he saw Dick and his older 2 sons that day, but hadn't seen Shirley or the 2 younger kids. The next day, Russell and his assistant returned to the cabin to finish their work. Both of the Robison cars were in the driveway, though no suspicion arose. I guess Dick was saying he was going to take a private jet down to wherever he was going. I'm not sure how he would have gotten to the airport, but regardless, it did not stand out that their 2 cars were still sitting there. Mm-hmm. So, of course, Russell's working on the property that day. He did notice what looked like bullet holes in one of the windows, and over the holes was a piece of cardboard that read, "Be back 710 Robison." So it was like signed by Dick over these bullet holes. They did look in the, they moved the note aside and peered through the window, but they weren't able to make out anything inside. Mm-hmm. And they just carried on with their work and left.
Wow. So they saw bullet holes. That's a big deal.
Yeah, they did. But you know how you don't want to be nosy. You're like, oh, okay, I'm just doing my gardening work. I don't know.
And you want to think the best. It's like, maybe it's not bullet holes.
Yeah.
Maybe took a rock somewhere.
Exactly. It's just probably not on your radar that this is actually bullet holes.
But now that he's being interviewed, he's like, yeah, they were probably bullet holes. Okay.
Yep. And they proved to be so.
Oh, jeez.
So there was also a light on that was later found off sometime in July. So the question was, did the light burn out? Did somebody return back to the scene and turn it off? We don't know. But the family had laid dead in their cabin for 27 days before being discovered.
You had to figure it was a long time because
the
of the
decomposition.
Yeah.
Yes. So they basically reconstructed what could have happened this day. And forensic experts believe that a killer came out of the woods at twilight, approaching the window by the front door. They fired multiple shots from a .22 caliber rifle into the living room, striking Dick Robison in the chest as he sat in his easy chair. So completely caught off guard, relaxing in your cabin, and boom, shots fired, you're hit.
Yeah.
So of course, the family would have been completely taken aback, and they were probably not even likely able to process what was happening before the killer burst through the front door, shooting Shirley in the head, followed by the younger kids, Randy and Susie.
Jesus Christ.
Yes, absolutely horrific. And then the two oldest boys, Richie and Gary, they looked to be playing cards at the table right there, and what appeared to be that they were running towards the back bedroom where they were found dead to get their father's rifle that was in the closets.
Ah, smart.
And the one son was actually found laying just,
Feet away.
from the closets. Didn't make it.
Poor guy.
Yeah, very sad. They're all just shot multiple times, often in the head. Each of them was shot in the head. Gary was found, like I said,
Cold blood, man. To shoot somebody in the head.
a whole family.
You got to be pretty fucked to be able to do that.
Wipe out an entire family.
I mean, unless you're in like danger or something, but it's just like coming in and just completely ruining these, taking these people's lives.
Yep, gone.
Insane.
Like I said, Gary was found only inches from the closet with the rifle. And then the killer in this part is just really gets me. Came back to Susie, the 7-year-old, and struck her in the head with the hammer.
When you first said that, like, that's the thing. I see, maybe there's something with a struggle with the father, but you need to hit. I mean, you don't need to do any of these
None
things.
of this should have happened.
Obviously, a 7-year-old girl, you don't need to hit her in the head. I don't understand.
Like, what possessed them to go back to the 7-year-old that he had already gunned down, hit her in the head with the claw hammer, and then hit Dick in the head with the claw hammer?
Some hatred, some vile hatred.
A lot of hatred. The killer also pulled up Shirley's dress, pulled her underwear down, and cut part of it so that it was basically only hanging from one leg. Later, it showed that she had not been sexually assaulted. She was just posed to look that way. I don't know if it was to just derail the case a little bit. I'm not sure.
Maybe he diddled her a little bit.
I don't know.
They still know that? I don't know. Ugh,
so before leaving, the killer threw a plaid blanket over Shirley and dragged Dick, Susie, and Randy into the hallway, drew the curtains, turned up the heat, and locked the cabin door as they left.
So he knowingly wanted to do this, wanted to make them bake and
and decompose. And why turn up the heat? I don't understand
to make it smell really bad. Just to make it horrible.
But then they're going to be found. Why would they want them to be found sooner?
I don't know.
So, of course, this starts the investigation. The investigators assigned to the case worked for the Michigan State Police, though ultimately detectives Lloyd Stearns and John Fills would have to answer to Emmett County prosecutor Donald G. Noggle. Emmett County, Michigan, was not used to murder. This was the largest mass murder actually in Michigan's history to date.
I figured. Probably usually just peacefulness going on up there.
But this is in Michigan to date.
Yeah.
The whole state.
Date.
Yeah. To date, in 1968, this was the largest mass murder.
Not just the county. You said Emmett County.
Emmett County was not at all equipped for this, but I'm saying that's how big it was.
Okay.
Emmett County itself hadn't seen a murder in over a decade. So, they're not used to dealing with stuff like this.
Right.
And, the last case that did happen over a decade before, I guess it was very quick. The investigation was basically open and shut. Mm-hmm. So now they're dealing with a murder of a family of 6 and needing to get to the bottom of who the hell would do such a thing.
Well, on Twitter the other day, somebody mentioned how, cops ruin these situations a lot, which is, not whether it's true or false, whatever it is, but it's like, how can you be really good at something like this when you never get the opportunity to try it? These cops have never gone through a mass murder and how to, they've been trained on things, obviously, but like
to actually do it.
Yeah, it's like in your job, if you're trained on something, it's like in one ear out the other until you actually have to do it, and then you're like, oh, now I understand. Like, it's similar to that, I would imagine. So, especially a small town like this, like something's going to be screwed up somewhere,
right? And it kind of started out on the wrong foot. The hammer that was used to bludgeon Dick and Susie, it was found discarded on the scene, but no fingerprints could be lifted, and this is because the police officer held it for a photo with a handkerchief.
Yeah.
And you could actually see this photo.
And he like wiped it
completely.
clean.
Yes.
Gosh.
So, again, the sheriff was out on vacation at Yellowstone, which I guess they did find him and he immediately came back.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, this is a crime scene that's being investigated, and people that don't know what they're doing are handling it. I'm not trying to knock them. They're not equipped for this. But so like one of the main actually the only weapon they had on their person was, the evidence was destroyed.
And so, you think like call in somebody from a bigger city like Detroit or something, but they're also dealing with their own shit every single day.
Right.
So it's like, it's not like they have open resources. Like, yeah, sure, I'll send our best detective up there.
Yeah.
No problem.
And they were about 4.5 hours from Detroit, just to give you an idea.
That as an example.
Yeah, I know. So a single bloody footprint was found, and this led investigators to believe that the murders were committed by a single killer. It was likely that the first shots through the window were fired from a .22 Armalite AR-7 survival rifle.
AR-7?
Yeah,
I was going to say,
it's a big guy.
Rifles are you have to be an exact shot. So even if you're standing in front of somebody like a few feet away, I mean, this person's probably skilled with guns. It's you would think. So what is an AR what?
AR-7 survival rifle.
7 rifle.
And
I'm
then,
not even a gun guy. I'm just curious to see what it looks like.
I know absolutely nothing.
Yeah, looks like a rifle.
Yeah.
So
So then the killer then switched to the .25 Beretta Jetfire semi-automatic pistol as he entered the cabin. The brand of ammo that was used was a rare Finnish type with the name Seiko that had only been sold during a 2-week period in late January/early February of that year, 1968. Some finger and palm prints were found that did not match the family's. However, the cabin was flooded with investigators, police,
what was the Seiko? What was the Seiko?
It was the ammo that was used.
Ammo, okay.
It was extremely rare. It was a Finnish type, and it had only been sold for 2 weeks.
I wonder if it's the same as the watch company or whatever. Is it SEI?
No, it's SAKO.
SAKO, okay.
Yeah.
Different.
So no matches of these palm and fingerprints were ever, identified. The killer could be one of 3 possibilities at this point: a Blisswood resident, a random person, or someone from the Detroit area. The first 2 were very unlikely.
Because of the ammo.
Yeah, I guess so, or because of why.
Or all the different things
really
together.
Why.
Right.
But they basically quickly identified a prime suspect. Do you have any guesses who that might be?
Yeah.
What was going on the day they were last seen alive?
Joe Scalero.
Yes. So Joe Scalero becomes their number 1 suspect.
Yeah, I mean, Dick went to his bank account expecting $1 million. He's got like almost nothing. Now he's like, how the hell am I going to pay for all this stuff? And who the hell is stealing my money?
Mm-hmm.
And he's pissed off. And yeah, you mentioned Joe Scalero. I'm like, this guy's definitely got something to do with it here. And obviously, the business associate, that was something else. But yeah, I'm curious to hear what goes on here.
So Joe had spent about 3 years in the Army and a year at Harvard before joining Dick's firm in 1965.
See, 3 years in the Army. You got to be a good shot to hit somebody.
Well, that, and I'll tell you more about him too. He had a stocky build, stood about 6 feet tall, was smart with a high IQ, and was interested in guns. He was a competitive trap shooter and used to hitting fast-moving targets.
Wow.
Like you were saying, you got to have a good eye and a good shot.
Yeah. It's
So-
like you see the movies, it seems really easy. And I've mentioned this before, but it's just, I've shot some guns, but everything I read about, like you think of this tiny little dot that needs to hit your exact target. And you look at somebody, the further away they are, like 12 feet away, we're only 8 feet away right now. And I would have to, I've only got this much.
I could shoot you right in the chest.
Well, yeah, but you've only got this much, room.
Yeah, it's not a lot of surface area.
Yeah, and I'm waving my finger. I mean, maybe 3 degrees of, exactness.
And they were guessing that the person who did shoot through the window at Dick was maybe in the trees. So it's not like he was right there.
Wow, really?
I don't know if the rifle had like one of those, what do they call them?
Scope.
The scopes.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, he
so-
probably did it for like sport.
Right. So he had 4 guns registered to his name, 2 .22 AR-7 rifles, and 2 Beretta .25 Jetfires.
Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
You got your guy.
He said he gave one Beretta to Dick and kept one for himself. And then in terms of the rifles, he said he gave one AR-7 to his brother-in-law, who was also a part-time gun dealer, and the other to a friend. So when Joe's brother-in-law was questioned, he indicated that none of his records indicated that the gun had been returned to him. He did say that he could take the authorities to a family shooting range where he and his father-in-law had witnessed the gun being fired by Joe. You know, it's like right there, it's like, wow, you just kind of got thrown under the bus by your brother-in-law.
Well,
this was his
yeah.
wife's brother.
Hey, man, if the same thing happened, I'd have to do the same.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, how do you sleep at night knowing, you could help solve a murder case?
Right.
So, using a metal detector, Michigan State Police recovered several spent .22 caliber shells, and ballistic testing results indicated that five. So, what the report actually read, it said, "In my opinion, at least 5 of the above listed shells were fired from the same weapon as 4 of the .22 caliber shells from the crime scene." So they matched. Mm-hmm. And then the second AR-7 that he had said he gave to his friend was not a match. So, and then Joe's Beretta came back as a negative match to the crime scene weapon, but it was loaded with the same rare Seiko ammo.
What the hell?
That was only sold for 2 weeks that year.
Right.
So the fact that he had that ammo,
but it didn't match it somehow.
That did not match.
Like,
However,
get another expert.
The other Beretta was never found, and many suspected that this one was the murder weapon.
Oh, okay. So there's got to be a unique signature for a gunfire, and so he used the other one that you can't find and threw it away.
Who knows where it was?
Yeah. Probably in the lake right behind the house.
Yeah, possibly. That's a good place to dump it.
Or
Lake
actually,
Michigan.
I'd probably drive a little bit and then toss it in the lake.
You would think.
Yeah.
A forensic accountant poured through the Robisons' business records after the murders, and they found some glaring discrepancies between January of 1966 and July of 1968, with the issues only getting worse as the months and years went by. So no issues. They didn't identify any financial issues between 1960 and 1966, and of course, Dick hired on Joe at around 1965. So it directly correlated with the time frame that Joe was in the business.
Well, he's not going to start the first day and start embezzling. He's going to get to know things a little bit and get access. And they're like, okay, when does he not look at things? And how can I get this out?
Yep. Okay. So Detective Stearns and Phils found that Joe had swindled client Delta Faucet out of about $60,000. And this was like their largest clients.
That's in Michigan.
So what this is equivalent to is about $400,000. So that is a lot of money.
Man, so Joe is doing well for himself, stealing all this money.
And this was an ad money from the previous year. And then really what they couldn't find though is how much of this did Dick know?
Right.
They don't know what his involvement was.
Well, you got to see if they're embezzling things together, in on it together.
It was definitely suspicious that it could have been. And then certain clients were overcharged by multiple thousands of dollars, just money from this pot, that pot, the other pot.
There's creative accounting that you can do in every business, and every businessman, knows that you can do taxing certain ways and show a certain amount of money lost, and then gain that money in the back end. So there's lots of different ways to do this stuff, and that's definitely something you got to look into, the embezzlement. Exactly,
and then of course Joe appeared to have a role in the missing $200,000.
Oh, big surprise!
Yeah, exactly. That Dick was waiting to see it was going to be deposited. So on the day that Dick anticipated the deposit, it was found that he and Joe had called each other 17 times.
Whoa.
Yeah, likely to discuss the missing funds. After a conversation between Dick and Joe that morning at approximately 10:33 a.m., Joe Scalero left the office and did not return home that night until after the 11 p.m. news.
He's in the office. He's like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go. I got a headache. I gotta go home.
I gotta take a little ride.
Yeah, I feel like I gotta go north.
TTYL. Bye-bye.
TTFN. Talk to you fucking later.
Okay.
Ta-ta for now.
Ta-ta for now, Mike. So his wife had said no, he did not return home until after the 11 p.m. news. And she had said that in their 6 years of marriage, it was the first time he did not come home or at least call to say that he wouldn't be home.
So Joe has no alibi here.
Very, very suspicious, but you'll see more about that.
Ooh.
So Joe's brother-in-law, like I had referred to, the partial gun owner,
the guy
dealer,
that sold him out.
Yeah. He had told investigators that Joe was a pathological liar and that the family was wondering where this excess money was coming from that he had been getting before the Robison murder.
Sounds like he's not a huge fan of Joe.
No, I don't think they were very close.
Right.
I don't think he really respected Joe very much.
Yeah.
And since Joe and his wife had gotten divorced, so they didn't.
Oh,
They were husband and wife at the time.
Okay.
They got a divorce after that.
Got it.
So then another article that I had read indicated that Joe had convinced Dick to take out a $200,000 insurance policy prior to his death. It's a policy known as the Key Man Business Policy that would pay into the business the amount insured if anything happened to the key man, which is Mr. Robison. What Joe didn't realize that Dick had failed to complete his scheduled medical exams in order to have this come into effect. So the policy never went through.
well, Joe's probably like, did you get that done? He's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'll take care of it,
But in
Joe.
the back of his head, it's like, nope, not done.
So it wasn't done.
I mean, that is a good idea for somebody that is like the most important part of the company, that
Sure.
has these relationships. It's good to have insurance on that person in case, because all these people are counting on him.
Of course, but this is only further leading to, shine the light on Joe saying something.
Absolutely.
He had a lot of motive.
Yeah.
So Joe Scalera was a prime suspect from the beginning, like I said. He was grilled by Stearns and Phils for months and acted cagey and evasive. Stearns said of Joe, from the 12 interviews they held with him, not once did we walk away thinking, this guy is innocent.
Right.
It's like all signs point to go.
Yeah.
His alibi was inconsistent. It seemed to often mislead detectives. He had said that he was at a plumbing convention that day.
Well, he's a smart guy, like you said, so he has to have some kind of story. And,
Right.
And this plumbing convention sounds like it.
Mm-hmm. So this is what he's using. So he said he was there. And, of the people that were there that were questioned, pretty much no one remembers seeing him. One guy did say, oh, yeah, I was there with him. The weather was real nice and the sun was bright, which was the opposite of what was true.
Oh.
Yes, that day it was horrifically rainy, gloomy, so much so that a lot of people left the convention early that day and the vendors packed up early. So they said the fact that he said he was there till 5 o'clock is highly unlikely because everyone was dispersing well before that because of the weather.
Interesting.
The deal was, though, it was a 3-day convention. So when this man was saying, oh, it was bright and sunny that day, he probably saw him there, but not that day.
Ah, okay.
Right. So he said he left the convention at 5 p.m. and stopped at the Robison house on his way home because it had been raining all day and he wanted to check on a leak that Dick had said they were having issues with in their home. Apparently he found a leak, he tended to it, and then basically finished up and headed home. So
why wouldn't the maintenance guy do that instead of Joe?
this is at his own personal home in
okay. Oh,
Lathrop.
got it.
Yeah, in the Detroit area.
Got it.
So Blisswood cabin residents claim they heard gunshots at 9 p.m. the night of the murders. This is where...
But that's later than they thought.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, this is where it derails the idea that Joe had anything to do with it. Because, like I mentioned, the Detroit area is about 4.5 hours from where Dick and his family are vacationing.
Right.
So basically, Joe would have to drive the 275 miles at 138 miles per hour the whole way back to Detroit, which
Impossible.
in order to get home when his wife said he was.
Yeah.
Not possible.
He doesn't have a Lamborghini.
No. So the neighbor said she heard one shot, and then about 2 or 3 seconds later, she heard 4 or 5 more in rapid succession and assumed it was related to target practice. She mentioned target practice on the beach. I guess people would shoot at seagulls. So it wasn't like completely unheard of to hear gunshots, I guess, is what I gathered.
Well, you're shooting into the lake. And,
Yeah. And then the neighbor's sister, who lived just north of her, said the same thing, but thought she heard 8 shots. In order for Joe to have been home, like I said, he would have had to have left the cabins by 6:30 p.m. if he was driving at a normal speed. So that's where this 9 o'clock thing is inconsistent with what could have happened. However, another resident made a statement saying that at 6:30 p.m. on June 25th, he was changing storm windows on a cabin when he heard a lot of shooting to the north. He wasn't sure how far north, but the Robison cabin was about 4 miles north of where this witness was.
That's the time.
Yeah, that would be the time.
Yeah.
So over a year after the murders...
And you would have to think he missed maybe a couple times. So you'd have to, I would anticipate 6, 7, 8 shots, something like that.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I don't know
what they found, but
well, they found the shell casings and that sort of thing, but like the people who are testifying, it's hard. Like, did you sit in your cabin and go like, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4,
Well, no, you try to think back and you try to picture. I was just doing that because we hear gunshots back here because we live in Podunk, Florida. Not Podunk, but it's
we live in a nice town of Florida.
Yeah, but at the same time, there's some locals that have been here for 100 years.
Interesting people.
Yeah, and they take their gunshot. They're not supposed to, but they do a little firing practice once in a while. And you put yourself in that situation. You're like 1, 2, 3. Like I feel like there was 5 or 6.
Yeah, I could see that because our dog is like deathly afraid of noises like that. So she'll like just climb up my chest when it happens. So that I'm very aware of the shots only because of our dog.
Yeah.
But this next thing I'm going to tell you about is just more to kind of go to Joe's character. So over a year,
I was curious to see what kind of guy he is.
So a year after the murders, Joe's next door neighbor came to authorities. His name was Carl Obrick, and he had said that in June of 1968, which of course was that month that the Robisons were killed, Joe had offered to pay him $10. It's like, I don't know if $10 was worth more back then, but if somebody gave me $10, I'd be like, keep your money, please.
Depends what it is.
So he wanted him to make a call pretending to be someone else. Joe wrote down what he wanted Carl to say, but I guess Carl had a pretty strong German accent, so he's like, nah, I'm not going to use you. Like, why'd you get him in the first place?
Right.
Whatever, that's neither here nor there. So then he got another man named Timothy Duff to make the phone call.
Yeah, I'm Joe. Hello. This is
Hello.
Joe. Yeah.
So the person they called was Dick. And they recalled saying, I'm calling in regards to the deal we have been working on with Mr. Scalero, and my client has informed me that he will go on as much as 5, but no more. They remembering that Dick was excited by this news. He doesn't know any more than that, but, obviously Joe is involving in some shady dealings, paying his neighbors to make a fake phone call to Dick.
Yeah.
But this piece of information still wasn't enough to make any kind of arrests. It was just adding to the pot of Joe being kind of a piece of crap.
Okay. He clearly offered this guy money to make a fake call.
Yes, exactly. And then on December 17th, 1969, a year and a half after the murders, Detective Phils and Stearns delivered a whole case evidence book of the things that they had collected through this whole time to the Emmett County prosecutor, Donald Noggle, that I had mentioned. On January 14th, 1970, Noggle issued his decision. Without the 2 missing firearm weapons and without fingerprints of the suspect being found at the crime scene, he would not issue a warrant for Joe's arrest.
Yeah.
And the Emmett County Sheriff's Department and the Michigan State Police were absolutely shocked by his denial. So in May of 1970, they tried again, and they were again denied. So one of the detectives that, presented this case file, he said, he's looking for evidence that you're never going to always have perfectly. But
yeah, that's the hard part. That's just, you have to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that this person did it. Like, just because they have the same kind of weapon doesn't necessarily mean that they did.
There's a big motive, though.
There is a big motive. And I don't know if that is factored into it at all. I think just the facts are, maybe. I don't know.
People have been arrested for less. I know that, just
Right.
listening to podcasts. But they think it was a financial thing.
Yeah, for
that,
sure.
You're taking this to trial. It's going to cost a lot of money.
Oh.
So they think that it was denied more because they didn't want to pay for the trial.
Really?
I read that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's the truth.
Well, anybody could. Yeah, there's a lot of, these social justice warriors or whatever that are like, no, they didn't. They should have done this better, which obviously they should have. But you also have to think of the flip coin. Regular citizens that might happen to have a jet fire or something like that, and then all of a sudden, I need a warrant for this person to search their house to see if they happen. It's like, no, they have nothing to do with it. They're protecting the people.
Yeah, why would they?
Yeah, they're protecting people like that who clearly have nothing to do with it, because if you open up one side, you open up both sides. That's the problem. And this judge, for whatever reason, maybe I'm not protecting them, but I'm saying hopefully that was their reasoning and not some other bullshit, like cost.
Yeah, a lot of people felt that it was cost related.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
So then 4 years after Donald Noggle denied Joe's arrest, a new prosecutor was elected, L. Brooks Patterson, and he gave permission to go after Joe Scalera. So by March of 1973, they were exceptionally close at issuing an arrest warrant.
1973.
Yes, and this was obviously 1968 that this happened.
5 years later. Jeez.
So they were about to issue and deliver an arrest warrant, but big kicker in the case.
Joe left.
Thursday, March 8th, 1973, at approximately 3 p.m., Joe Scalera put a Beretta 25 caliber pistol into his mouth and pulled the trigger.
Okay.
Same gun that was involved in killing the Robison family.
He knew he was close to getting snatched.
I think he must have known. So their prime suspect is now dead by suicide. Like I said, same pistol that was used to kill the family. So Joe had pinned a note to his door warning his mother not to enter. The note read, "Mother, don't you come in. I will already be dead. Please have someone else come in and you call the police or whatever." I actually saw it in his own handwriting.
Wow.
And then he signed Joe. And then there was also a suicide note left on the desk where he shot himself.
I'm going to put that on the Instagram.
The note?
Yeah.
Do that. So with this note, it said it was basically including all the people that he had screwed over and their names. It was partially typed, partially handwritten. It included, "I am a liar, a cheat, a phony." With this, like I said, he listed the people he had stolen in his schemes. He had also written, "P.S. I had nothing to do with the Robisons. I am a liar, but not a murderer. I am sick and scared. God and everyone else, please forgive me."
Yeah, bring God into it, asshole.
Yeah. So.
Oh, God, what a scumbag.
Yep. And then.
You are a murderer, stupid. You fucking shot people,
Yep.
dumbass. And children. Like, again, it's not right to kill anybody, but don't kill kids, man. I mean,
why involve the whole family? Like we talked about that in other cases we've done. You talked about that one family that was brought out to the California desert and killed because of potential business dealings.
Yeah.
Why would you involve the family?
And why are you hitting them with claw hammers?
I don't know.
Like,
it's sick.
Disgusting. Like, absolutely horrible, vile person. He must have had some issues and stuff, too. You have to. It's not a standard thing to, like, if you steal a bunch of money from somebody and you kill them, you're going to be found out. Like, just don't steal money from people. If you do, just hand yourself in and you'll be out of jail in like 5 years because it's just money. Like money laundering.
Money is just such a dirty thing sometimes. I mean, it's amazing what people will do and sell their soul to the devil to get. Like, I can't wrap my head around it.
Oh, I totally could. I'd kill you for it. Yeah.
The way that I feel about money is it can help your life be easier in some ways. And I want to be comfortable. But why do people get so greedy to the extent that they're going to do such horrific things to get it?
Because it's like a game, and he doesn't want to lose it either. That's
I guess.
So it was not losing it because he already had it. You know, he didn't have to kill this guy to get more money. He just had to kill him so he wouldn't get it taken away from him.
Right, I guess so.
Yeah, they say the power of losing something is like double the power of gaining something.
Go get it. Go have, like, work hard and be honest to get your money. Why do you have to do it like this?
It's harder that way.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to
Life's not easy, kid. You don't just get things handed to you on a silver friggin' platter.
Well, that's why it's easy. You hear about the stories of people who run into stores and just taking things and leaving. It's just easier to take that. And, you know, in a society, we have certain rules that are just like you won't walk into a store and just take things out.
That's why we have rules.
Right. And society starts to crumble once those rules are broken. Mm-hmm. So that's interesting.
There were a couple other like twists in the case or potential suspects that really weren't amounting to much. You know, I had mentioned that Mr. Roberts. So a search of Dick's home found a bizarre letter titled Superior Table. And in this letter, it listed a chain of power.
Wait, Mr. Roberts was the guy that was going to buy or do this big business deal.
Yes. Yeah. And it's not Roberts spelled like you would think it was. It was Roeberts. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So this letter was listing a chain of power as decided by Mr. Roberts, the chairman and director of the Superior Table. I don't know. So what they were thinking...
Name of his company, whatever.
They were thinking it could be listed to the Rosicrucian, which is a spiritual and cultural movement, a worldwide brotherhood claiming to possess wisdom handed down from ancient times.
Ah.
Yeah, I've never heard of this.
So it's kind of like Illuminati type stuff. Like, you know, you always hear these secret, like... groups,
societies, like type
societies,
of deal.
Yeah. People with a lot of money, they think they're big shits, and then they want to think that they rule the world and stuff. And
so they investigated the names that were listed in this letter, but they really led to nothing. They heavily tried to investigate this Mr. Roberts, but they never found this person. I guess in another way, they found that Dick referred to him as my father and ended the letter by writing, "I'm looking forward with great anticipation and love to the day we finally meet soon, and I hope always your son Richard."
Whoa.
Very weird.
That is weird.
Yeah, so that's why detectives initially said that the case just was getting layered on top of layered of weirdness.
It was like Occam's razor was what was presented to them, which Occam's razor, it's the easiest solution. Basically, that's
Well,
the
Joe
rule.
is the easiest solution.
Yes, correct. So it's the easiest solution, but then you find these other things that Dick just happened to be fucking weird with these other dealings that he was dealing with. And sorry to Dick's family, but this sounds weird. So we're just looking at the facts here. And he was dealing with this other thing, so it's like, wait, now this could be happening. It takes you into these different worlds.
Well, you have to, if you're a good investigator, you can't just have your focus on one thing. You have to consider that it could be other things.
For sure.
Because until you get that conclusion and the arrest, you got to look at other avenues.
Yeah.
So there was just other weirdness in the letter. Dick referred to Steamboat Joe, who had given him a message which he had put where we decided. Dick indicated that he instructed Joe not to allow me to drop my wallet.
Is Steamboat Joe Scalera?
They're thinking it must be.
Okay.
And then this whole, don't let him drop his wallet. If anything should happen to him, to take my entire wallet and pass it up to where motor people would know what to do with it.
So you got to think that Joe knows about the society too.
Right? Yeah.
Because they're business associates and he has access to the bank account. The wallet is probably the bank account.
And there were just weird things in the letter, and you saw this letter too. Not the full letter of the thing, but you saw the listed of names and the superior table and whatever. And in Mr. Roberts' name, you could see they put stars under the OE. I think it was something like that. And in multiple areas, they have these stars under certain letters of his name. So it was just a very bizarre letter that they couldn't really figure out what it was. But then there was also twists in the case. And, I don't want to talk badly of Dick, who was shot dead and his family was killed. But they did say that Dick had been treated at Oakwood Hospital in Dearborn and was found to be mentally ill. When records were assessed, it was concluded that Dick was found to be mentally disturbed, and others called him a schizophrenic. This made detectives think about the letters about Mr. Roberts. Does this person even exist, or is he writing about somebody that's not even there?
Like a fantasy.
Yeah.
Or not even a fantasy. He probably believes he's really real, but not in real life.
Yeah.
Wow.
And, nobody else had apparently met this person.
So did they find this $200,000 that came?
I never heard that they found this money.
Okay.
So,
because I was wondering, I know Joe stole money from the Delta account and everything, but and then you did mention how they were both watching the account for this $200,000.
Well, Dick was for sure. What Joe knew of this, I don't know. Dick's calling and the money's not there.
I wonder what set Joe off to kill him this day, because originally I was thinking, okay, yeah, the 200 came in and Joe took it, and he's like, well, Dick can't tell people that I took it here, so I'm going to go kill him.
Yeah, and there's more to the story I'll get into, but and I'll try to make it quick. But so just real quick, Mr. Roberts apparently offered to build an extensive business and cultural complex around the new Hudson Regional Airport in Oakland County outside of Detroit. On June 6th, 3 weeks before the murders, Dick had pitched his idea to managers of the airport, telling him that he and a wealthy financier named Mr. Roberts was behind the deal and would be contacting them. The airport managers received a call from Mr. Roberts. He seemed to be elderly, had a monotone voice, and spoke in a halting manner. One of the managers got the impression that they were talking to a robot.
Oh.
Very weird. Immediately after the call, Dick called to see how the talk had gone. He told managers that he was excited and heading up to his cabin in Good Hart, and if they needed anything, they should contact Joseph Scalera.
It could be like a voice changer.
Potentially, yes. When airport managers spoke to Joe about Mr. Roberts, Joe said, "Beats the hell out of me." He didn't know this person, according to Joe. Was he lying? Who knows?
Pathological lying Joe.
Would you put it past him? No.
Old Steamboat Joe? Nope.
And on the night of the murder, Shirley had told her best friend that a man would be coming to stay with them in Good Hart for a few days, and then the plan was for the family to travel south, like I said, to look at the property in Kentucky and Florida. And the investigators did find that note on the door that said, "Be back." And I guess the handwriting analysis showed that Dick actually did write, "Be back 7:10 Robison." But he may have written that before. Who knows?
And then how the bullet holes get in the car?
Bullet holes in the car? No, it was on the cabin window.
Oh, cabin window.
Yeah,
okay.
and the piece of cardboard was taped over the bullet holes that said, "Be back 7:10 Robinson."
Oh, he probably wrote it inside later. Yeah.
Maybe he wrote it before. Because like I said, there was a suitcase on the bed that was open. They were getting prepared to take this trip.
Yeah.
So then another person they suspected was potentially that Chauncey/Monty who actually found the bodies.
Sure.
That was just quickly dispelled. I guess his son had died recently in a motorcycle accident, and there was some friction there between he and Dick. I don't know, but it fell to nothing.
Yeah.
Another suspect was Martin Fulton, which was Shirley's brother. Apparently, a red VW car at the scene of the Robisons' cabin was seen on July 4th, 9 days after the murders. Marvin drove a red Opel sports car, which I guess strongly resembled a red VW Bug. So then later on, they saw this car at the property after the murders. They looked into it, and Marvin had been given permission to go to the cottage or cabin after the deaths to retrieve his canoe. So they were like, that's the car we saw before they were found. I don't think that didn't lead to anywhere. And then, Dick wasn't exactly, from what I read, crystal clean either. And I know I've kind of hinted to this as mental illness potentially. His secretaries were questioned, and I guess 22-year-old Glenda had said that when she worked with Dick, he would call her into his office, lock the door, and ask her to hike up her dress so that he could look at her legs. He would just stare at her legs, run his hands over them, and it never went further than that. But this went on for months. Then another secretary...
I'm sure you just let him, huh? Nowadays, people would be like, fuck this, I'm going to HR.
Yeah, exactly.
Which
Thank
that's
goodness.
how, you look at the Mad Men days, that TV show Mad Men, the 1950s or whatever, and they had a lot of sexual stuff like that, and it's disgusting.
I guess another secretary had said she was also harassed. And then another twist came in the case. 6 years after the murders in 1974, an abandoned car was found on the side of the road in southern Michigan. When searched, a luggage tag with Shirley Robison's name on it was found. So it's like, what the hell is this? So the car was traced to Toledo, where it was sold in 1966. This brought up a previously dead-end theory back to life from 1970, where at the time a convict from Leavenworth Prison named Alexander Bluxom wrote a letter to the Michigan State Police claiming to know who killed the Robison family. He said he met a fellow ex-con named Mark Warren Brock at a halfway house in 1968. Brock had been hired to do a job that would pay him well, and it was offered Bluxom to be his accomplice. But I guess when all was said and done, he had said that he couldn't go and do the murders because he was black and no black people were in Good Hart, Michigan. That he would be found.
I could totally believe that. He would stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
A lot of white people in Michigan.
But they said...
in northern Michigan.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I've ever visited that area. But they said they were hired by a white man about 6 feet tall, which was Joe's height. However, they said he was about 51 years old. We know Joe was about 30, but everyone's perception of age can be very different. So
yeah,
who
you
knows?
go in the army and you go through hell.
Yeah, they said he weighed about 200 pounds. So
sounds like Joe.
When Brock came back from this job, he had a briefcase with gold initials in the upper right-hand corner. The briefcase contained investment bonds, canceled checks, audio tapes, and photos of a man and a woman with 4 children standing on a boat. The ex-cons cut the briefcase into pieces and burned the leather in an alley behind the halfway house. According to Bloxham, Brock said that he and accomplice Robert Matthews knocked on the door of the Robison cabin. Brock faked a heart attack, and Mrs. Robison let them in. While Brock laid on the floor, Shirley Robison assisting, Matthews started shooting, killing Shirley first. The difference here is that the killer had shot from outside, hence the bullet holes in the window.
Yeah.
So that part of it doesn't line up. When Stearns and Phil showed Bloxham...
unless they're shooting from the inside and it went out.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Possibly.
I mean, you'd have ballistics experts that can say which way the bullet was going.
Right. So when Stearns and Phils showed Bloxham photos of who hired them, he indicated a photo of Joe Scalero was the person, but then quickly changed his mind, saying that he couldn't be sure. When Brock was questioned, he wasn't cooperative, and Robert Matthews denied having anything to do with the murders. So it was kind of going nowhere. But the Dick Robinson did own a briefcase, just as Bloxham described. I'm sure every businessman at the time probably did too.
Yeah.
By the time the car was found, Joe was dead, and Brock and Bloxham were already back in prison after robbing a bank. So that kind of went nowhere too. They also thought maybe it was a serial killer from Eastern Michigan University. That's where Richie Robison, the son, attended.
Yep. Mac action.
Yeah. So he briefly shared a room with John Norman Collins, the prime suspect in the Michigan co-ed murders, which I brought up in another one of my stories.
Yeah, interesting.
Kind of weird how it came back to this guy. That one also kind of went nowhere too.
Okay, so a lot of different areas.
Yeah, and then even Ted Kaczynski was brought up in one of the things.
They always are. The famous ones are always like, I mean, you got to think about stuff just in case.
Yeah.
And that's how probably the ones he actually was responsible for. I brought up Ted Kaczynski.
Yeah, you did in one of yours.
Yeah, he's like, no, I didn't do that one. I'm telling you, the only ones I bombed were these people. Stop asking me questions.
So basically, everything went nowhere. In March of 1969, the Robison cabin ended up being torn down. I guess the extent of the decomposition was just so bad that not only did they have to demolish the cabin, but they had to remove an inch of topsoil because of it permeated that far, even into the earth. And then the case evidence file sits on the shelves of the Michigan State Police inactive section since 1973. No additions have been made to the file.
No,
so
Joe,
it's done.
Yeah, that's open and shut.
Likely it was Joe.
There's some details, I'm sure, that some other people are probably should be charged with something, but Joe definitely
had something to do with it. Whether it was him or he got somebody else involved, who knows?
And he's dead, so...
Yeah, we'll never know. Yeah. But it's just very sad, and I'm sorry for the Robison family.
For sure.
Yeah.
As always. It's tough, so especially those kids, man.
Yeah, exactly. That's my story.
Great job telling the story and bringing a lot of details to it. And you didn't even have to stop and pee during this.
Aren't you impressed?
Yeah. And especially if we're going to be doing YouTube videos here in a little bit, you can't be going pee during the middle all the time.
Well, I guess I'm going to have to dehydrate myself.
Yeah, I don't know if our listeners know this, but you drink like ungodly amounts of water every single day.
I'm thirsty, Mike.
Yeah, you're thirsty.
And you can't stop me from drinking my water. I'm sorry.
That's the most annoying voice
ever. This is me, and I am not changing for you.
I think I cut myself on a French fry box yesterday. I had a little bit of Reese's French fries.
Why were you gnawing on the French fry box?
Because, I was trying to get a French fry in my mouth and I missed, and it was dark in my car, and I slit my lip with it. So I injured myself eating French fries.
Oh boy, it's a dangerous job, those French fries.
Yeah.
They're not going to eat themselves.
No, it's unfortunate.
All right, well, we'll see you back here next week. Thank you for joining and listening in.
Yep, please give us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We appreciate it, and we love you. And have a great week, everybody. And thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.